It was a late October evening, chilled by the whispers of autumn and muffled footsteps on fallen leaves. Four teenagers, Jess, Alex, Benny, and Mara, embarked on their first ghost hunting adventure, armed with a hodgepodge of supernatural detection tools they gathered. These ranged from Jess's brother's old walkie talkies to an EMF reader Benny bought online from a suspiciously low rated seller. The target of their debut haunt was the old Milner house at the edge of town. Local lore told that it was haunted by the ghost of Bartholomew Milner, who supposedly vanished without a trace on a night just like this a century ago. They arrived at the dilapidated house excited and nervous, and possibly regretting their choice of a ghost hunting location. "I've heard that to summon a ghost, you need to chant something," Mara whispered, her voice shaky as she glanced at a badly photocopied page of Ghost Summoning for Dummies found on the internet. "Or we could just say, 'Hello, Mr. Ghost? Sir? Do you mind showing up?'" Benny suggested with a grin. Jess rolled her eyes and pulled out her phone, opening an app she claimed was used by professional ghost hunters. It immediately began to beep erratically. "See, I told you this place was haunted," she said, a little too loud, making Alex jump. "Shh! You'll scare the spirits away," Alex chided. They crept through the creaking home, their ears pricked up for any sound. Suddenly, a loud bang erupted from upstairs. Mara screamed, and Benny's walkie talkie crackled to life by itself. "Did anyone else hear that?" Benny nearly shouted into the device, even though they were all within whispering distance. Yeah, because we're all right here," Alex muttered, rolling his eyes. Taking the lead, Jess gestured for them to follow her upstairs, the stairs moaning under their weight. At the top, the door to what looked like a bedroom swung open with a painful creak. Hesitantly, they stepped inside. The room was cold, much colder than the rest of the house, and filled with antique furnishings covered in sheets. "I'm going to try the EMF reader," Benny announced, pulling out the device. However, instead of detecting ghosts, it started picking up radio frequencies of a nearby taxi dispatch. "Great. If we need a quick getaway, we've got a ride," Mara joked as they all chuckled nervously. Suddenly, the room grew colder, and their laughs faded. A shadowy figure slowly appeared in the corner of the room. The teens froze, staring wide eyed. "Bartholomew Milner, is that you?" Jess stammered, stepping forward. The figure stayed silent, then glitched like a bad TV signal and transformed into a much less intimidating figure. A raccoon had been living in the attic and found its way into the room, its eyes reflecting light from the phone. Relief mixed with embarrassment washed over them, and they erupted into laughter. Their fear dissipated as they realized their first ghost was nothing more than a small animal. "Maybe we need a bit more practice before becoming professional ghost hunters," Alex suggested, and they all agreed, heading out of the house and back into the night, their laughter echoing through the empty streets. Their first ghost hunt was a bust in the supernatural sense, but a success in proving one thing: friendship and a bit of humor can make even a raccoon seem like a ghostly encounter. They learned that perhaps the most unexpected adventures come not from encountering the supernatural, but from the journey itself with friends by your side. As a seasoned paranormal investigator, I've traipsed through countless ghostly locales, but there's always a frisson of excitement when introducing newbies to the thrill of the hunt. I found myself tasked with leading a trio of eager, albeit slightly jittery teenagers on their inaugural ghost hunting journey. The setting was the old Willowdale Cemetery, a place thick with the kind of marbled stones and eerie legends perfect for a night of supernatural exploration. The night was pitch black, moon cloaked by scudding clouds as we huddled at the rusted gates of Willowdale. Armed with our EVP recorders, infrared cameras, and a rather dubious EMF detector one of the kids bought online, we looked more like a band of misfit pirates than serious ghost hunters. "Okay, team," I began, my voice a theatrical whisper that earned me a few amused glances. "Tonight, we might just meet residents of the non living variety. Stay close, and remember, spirits were people too, so no rude comments." Our first stop was the notorious Weeping Widow section, where legend had it a young bride had been routinely seen sobbing over her husband's grave, lost to war. As we approached, the air grew inexplicably cooler. Tommy, the bravest and the one with the spiky blue hair, pointed his flashlight shakily at a statue. "Hey, Mr. Ghost Dude," he called, an edge of mockery in his voice camouflaged with bravado. "Do you think the lady ghost is around?" No response. The wind picked up, though, rustling through the leaves overhead like whispered warnings. Emily, the youngest with a prolific YouTube following, was busy trying to capture orb activity with her video camera, though it was likely just dust particles. We moved deeper into the graveyard, the atmosphere thickening. I led them to the old mausoleum in the back, where sightings of a Civil War ghost had been reported. We all squeezed into the tiny space, the air musty with the smell of old earth and decay. "Is there anyone here with us?" I intoned, voice recorder rolling. "If you can hear us, give us a sign." The silence that followed was crushing. Just as I was about to reassure the kids that it sometimes takes patience, a sudden cold blast swept through the mausoleum. We all froze. The temperature dropped so abrupt it fogged up my glasses. Even I had to admit, my heart skipped a beat. Tommy was the first to break the silence. "Cool special effects, Mr. Ghost Dude," he laughed nervously, looking around. Just then, the EVP recorder crackled to life, a low, indistinct murmur filtering through. We all listened, the chill settling in our bones, now mingling with a spark of fear. Or was it excitement? The voice was garbled, but amidst the white noise, we could make out a single phrase. "Leave now." We stared at each other, the reckless courage of embarkation seeping away. Chloe, always the skeptic, rolled her eyes. "It's probably just interference from a radio or something," she muttered, though her voice held an edge of uncertainty. "And that was enough for one night? Spirit suggesting you make a timely exit was where I drew the line for a first ghost hunt." We packed up quickly, the laughs now nervous, the glances over shoulders frequent. As we walked back towards the gates, the cemetery seemed to return to normal, sounds of the night reclaiming the space. The kids were buzzing with exhilaration mixed with a touch of fear, already recounting each eerie moment with larger-than-life detail. "Best night ever," Tommy declared as we reached the safety of our cars, the ghostly residents of Willowdale possibly peering out from their silent homes. And there, under the sanctuary of our modern conveniences, the night at Willowdale transformed into a legendary first ghost hunt, their baptism by spectral encounter one for the personal history books. And mine too, a reminder of why I love this spooky business, even when, or especially when, it gets a little too real. Mia had always been fascinated by the supernatural, her ears perking up each time she heard whispers of ghosts and haunts. On the flip side was Alex, her best friend since childhood, a staunch skeptic who wouldn't believe in ghosts even if one danced in front of him, wearing a neon sign. So, when Mia convinced Alex to join her on a ghost hunt at the old factory on the outskirts of town, the stage was set for an evening filled with unexpected thrills. The factory, silhouetted against the setting sun, looked menacing. It had been a textile mill once, vibrant and noisy, until a mysterious fire had claimed several lives, shuttering its windows forever. The townsfolk whispered that the spirits of those workers lingered, still clocking in for their eternal shifts. Mia, armed with an EMF reader, voice recorder, and a rather comical ghost detecting app downloaded on her phone, was giddy with excitement. Alex trudged along, hands in his jacket pockets, his breath misting in the chilly air, mumbling about logical explanations and electromagnetic fields from outdated wiring. They entered through a creaky side door. The factory inside was a cavernous space, with decrepit machinery casting eerie shadows under the flashlight's beams. As Mia excitedly pointed her devices at every odd noise, Alex rolled his eyes but followed, his curiosity secretly piqued. "Did you hear that?" Mia whispered, her flashlight beam dancing across the room as a distant banging sound echoed through the halls. "Probably just a raccoon that's found a nice haunted home," Alex quipped, though his voice carried a hint of uncertainty. They proceeded to the heart of the factory where the looms were most densely packed. Here the air felt colder, heavier. Even Alex's scoff softened as the atmosphere thickened with each step they took. Mia's EMF reader suddenly spiked, and the ghost app emitted a series of beeps. "We've got something!" she exclaimed. "Oh, please!" Alex started, just as a shadow darted past them. He spun around. "Okay, that was just the wind playing tricks." Before Mia could reply, a loud crash resonated from the upper floor, as if someone or something had knocked over a heavy object. The pair froze, then exchanged glances. Spurred by a mix of fear and intrigue, they decided to investigate. Climbing a rickety staircase, they found a room with an old office desk and a broken chair. The window here flapped against the night breeze, which Alex pointed to as the source of their spooky audio encounters. But when they turned to leave, the door slammed shut with no draft to blame. "Okay, Alex, explain that," Mia hissed, her voice a mix of fear and triumph. Alex approached the door, examining the frame and hinges. "Still looking," he murmured, but his usual confident demeanor had cracked. As they stood debating, a soft, melancholy whistling filled the room. It was a tune neither could place, but felt inexplicably familiar. The sound seemed to seep from the very walls, mournful and echoing a tale of old woes and forgotten lives. "Recording this," Mia whispered, her voice recorder capturing the eerie melody. Alex stood beside her, silent, his skepticism faltering as the notes wound around them, almost palpably. The whistle faded, and the atmosphere lightened, the door swinging open as if released from an unseen grip. The pair hurried out, not stopping to glance back until they were safely outside, under the less ominous, star-speckled sky. On their way back, Alex was unusually quiet. Mia nudged him. "So, still think it's all wind and raccoons?" Alex looked at her, a sheepish smile slowly forming. "Let's just say I'm open to discussing alternative theories." Mia laughed, her heart light. Whether or not she had converted Alex into a ghost believer didn't matter. Tonight had been about sharing her world with her best friend, mysterious whistles and all. And maybe, just maybe, the ghosts of the old factory had found a bit of peace. Their stories acknowledged, their presences felt.